Oedipus Rex. It begins in the city of Thebes in ancient Greece. The king of Thebes, Laius, was married to Jocasta. They were expecting a child. However, there was a prophecy that was told that they would have a son, but their newborn son will grow up to kill his father and marry his mother. So as soon as the baby was born, the king pierced the baby's ankles, gave his child to one of his shepherds, and told him to leave the baby on the mountain alone. Now, you probably think that the baby had died due to hunger, thirst, or had eaten by a monster. But instead of leaving the baby on the mountain, the shepherd gave the baby to another shepherd from the town of Corinth, which was just across the mountain. The king and queen of Corinth weren't able to have a kid, so the shepherd gave the child to the couple as a gift. They named the baby Oedipus, meaning swollen foot. He never doubted the fact that he was the heir of Corinth because his parents never told him that he was adopted. Until one day, he was at a feast, and then one of the Corinth was drunk and told him that he was adopted. Oedipus was shocked. So he went to Delphi to visit the temple of Apollo. He asked the oracle about his adoption, but the oracle only answered him with the prophecy that he would kill his father and marry his mother. He wasn't happy with the answer the oracle gave him. On his way back to Corinth, he ended up on a crossroad between Corinth and Thebes. It turned out there was a grumpy old man who didn't have any patience and drove people away from the street. The old man somehow hit Oedipus. However, Oedipus wasn't in a good mood, so he killed two of the people from the carriage while the other one escaped. He thought it was for self-defense, so he didn't think it was a big deal. But what he didn't know was he just killed his birth father, Laius. When Oedipus arrived to Thebes, the people were very upset because somebody had killed their king, and Queen Jocasta's nephew was eaten by Sphinx. So he announced that whoever can answer the riddle would become the next king of Thebes. When Oedipus was passing through Thebes, he met the great Sphinx. The Sphinx sat in front of the thieves and asked everyone who came there a riddle. If you could answer the riddle, the Sphinx would let you go. But if you could not answer the riddle, the Sphinx would eat you. Nobody ever knew the answer. So the riddle was, what goes on 4 feet in the morning, 2 feet at noon, and 3 feet in the evening? And Oedipus said, man, which was the correct answer. The Sphinx was so upset that she killed herself. The people from Thebes were happy to hear that Oedipus had figured out the riddle of the Sphinx. So they made Oedipus their new king and also made him marry the queen Jocasta. Oedipus didn't know that Jocasta was his mother, so he married her and also had 4 kids with her. Oedipus was a nice king overall, but as the years went by, a plague had settled all over the land of Thebes. So Oedipus sent his brother-in-law, Creon, to the temple of Apollo to investigate. Creon soon returned to Thebes and told Oedipus that the only way to get rid of the plague is to find out who killed the old king Laius and to kill the murderer. And he also said the murderer is now in Thebes. Oedipus didn't realize the murderer was himself. So Oedipus told the people of Thebes if anyone knew a clue about the murderer, they would have to tell him. Oedipus sent for Tiresias, the blind prophet, to investigate, but Tiresias refused to answer. So he told Oedipus that Oedipus was the murderer of Laius. But Tiresias said, I might be blind to the world, Oedipus, but you are blind to the truth. The news really bothered Oedipus, but his wife Jocasta told him not to believe in the prophet. She said that they had been wrong before, but her description of where Laius was killed, a triple crossword, worries Oedipus. It's the same place where Oedipus once fought with several people and killed them. But Oedipus suddenly realized that Tiresias wasn't blind at all, that he knew the truth. Not much longer, an old messenger arrived from Corinth to bring the news that Oedipus' father, King Polybus, had died of old age. This encouraged Oedipus and made Jocasta very happy, because it seemed his prophecy might not come true. However, he remained worried because his mother was still alive. But the messenger told him not to worry, because the king and queen of Corinth were not his real parents. He said that the messenger himself gave Oedipus as a baby to the royal family as a gift after the shepherd found the boy in the mountains. The shepherd was the same man Oedipus has already stand for, the witness to Laius's murder. So Oedipus asked to see the witness. When Jocasta heard this, she started begging Oedipus not to question about his origins anymore, because she had already figured out that the prophecy of Oedipus was true. She cried so hard, so she left Oedipus and the servants. But Oedipus was still curious. When the witness arrived, Oedipus was shocked because it was the same man that had gotten away all those years, the only living servant of the king. "You were the murderer of my king," said the shepherd. Oedipus was furious of his wife for not telling him the truth for all these years. He was so angry that he rushed home and wanted to kill his wife. But as soon as he got home, he figured out that the queen had already hung herself. Finally, Oedipus pieced things together and realized that Jocasta was his mother, as predicted by the prophecy. He had slept with his mother and killed his father. He rushed to her dead body, tore the brooches off from her dress, and gorged out his eyes. Oedipus explained it to the chorus that he gorged his eyes out because there was no longer anything pleasant for him to see. Oedipus asked the chorus to help send him out of thieves or kill him. He wished he had died as a child. Last but not least, Oedipus asked Creon to have a proper burial for Jocasta, meeting with his daughters one last time, and selected exile instead of execution as the punishment for his offenses. And that's the story of Oedipus Rex.